news.
Fuck that. What is it, y'all? Fuck that hair. I want the belt. You can snatch my wig off. I'm still that girl. You sit here, you yell, you try to intimidate me.
I respect what you've done.
What did I disrespect?
That you're undisputed.
How did I disrespect you? How did I disrespect you?
You just sat up here and made a whole statement about people need to be... Hold on, ask me a question, let me respond. Can I respond to your question? You just sat up here and made a whole statement about having people respect what you've done in the sport, being the first one to represent in the Pan Am Games, being the first one, being alongside...
Separate subjects.
No, but I'm answering your question. Give me the floor. Listen, don't be so insecure.
I'm not.
Okay, and then you turn around at the same time and say you were a basketball player.
This is the truth. This is the truth.
I am the truth, and I'm gonna show you December 15th.
And
That's
I
all I
hope you do.
I am the truth.
See, this is what you need, the audience. But when them lights are off, when you by yourself, listen. I dug myself out of dark hole. I don't need no audience. I went and faced the whole country. You feel what I'm saying? I'm used to represent. I'm used to holding it down. So you can yell. You can do it. At the end of the day, you still gotta fight.
Okay. And I'm here. I signed a contract. And yes, we are. Thank God.
You still gotta fight.
Thank God.
But you see, this is the thing. For an educated woman, for a beautiful educated woman like yourself that can fight, you dumb as door now, girl.
That's fine.
Because you sit here and say, "Oh, I'm a bully." You run with this narrative that I avoided you. You run with this narrative. How?
Facts.
No, can I say facts?
I was your mandatory, like Savannah Marshall said.
Hey guys, listen.
You meant.
It is true that Crews-Dezurn was Franchon Cruz's mandatory challenger, and at the time that the order came down, Franchon was already in negotiations for Savannah Marshall. So the WBC decided to let Franchon fight Savannah on the predication that the winner would fight Crews-Dezurn. As it stands, the winner was Savannah Marshall, and Savannah has so vacated the WBC title, bringing us here. This is what I told you would happen, and both ladies are going to be boxing on the undercard of Jake Paul's next fight against an opponent that has yet to be announced on the DAZN platform. A very good fight, and a chance for Crews-Dezurn to continue to build her name, her marquee value, and potentially build a Savannah Marshall fight. Upon Savannah's return, Savannah is going to be trying her hand at mixed martial arts in the PFL. This fight is a chance for Crews-Dezurn to build that Savannah Marshall fight, just as well as it's a chance for Franchon Cruz to become a champion again. A champion at super middleweight. Maybe get a rematch with Savannah. And I feel like if Crews-Dezurn can take care of business here, that will help to further build the Savannah Marshall fight, more so than if she went straight into it. The who did it better conversation. Franchon Cruz would be a common opponent between Crews-Dezurn and Savannah. And if Crews-Dezurn does to her what she's been doing to some of these other girls, those highlight reel knockouts, that certainly lends itself to the profile of the Marshall fight. What are two of the biggest punchers, if not the two biggest punchers at this weight. Franchon is coming right off that loss, that points decision loss to Savannah Marshall. If Crews-Dezurn can knock her out, that's making a statement. That's a statement because Franchon has never been knocked out. She's been in there with Clarissa, she's been in there with Savannah, but she's never been knocked out. This fight goes one of two ways. Franchon Cruz is a mid-range to inside pressure fighter, volume puncher, whereas Crews-Dezurn, she's more of a boxer puncher, a sniper. She doesn't throw as many punches as Franchon, but what she does throw, at least to the eye, seems a lot more forceful, a lot more powerful. I think that punch for punch, Crews-Dezurn is a bigger puncher than Franchon, but not a more prolific puncher than Franchon. And this fight goes one of two ways. It's either Franchon Cruz greatly overwhelms Crews-Dezurn with volume, with activity, or Crews-Dezurn uses that activity against her and nails her in between the shots, in between the punches, with some hard counters. And puts her lights out. Crews-Dezurn, because of those counters, that accuracy and that power, is not a fighter you want to sit in the pocket with for too long, stand in front of for too long, but that is what Franchon Cruz tends to do. Crowd the pocket, crowd the opponent, put punches together. So it's either Franchon overwhelms her or Franchon pays for it. Pays for putting too many shots together. I am leaning a bit towards Jadejah Green. I feel like stylistically she might have the advantage, but she has to be careful not to look for that window for too long. Sometimes you're gonna have to fight Franchon off, like Savannah did. It's a very good fight, and we'll talk more about it as the fight date approaches.
The elephant in the room now is Ngannou Wilder. You know, they was talking about it before, and you know that two big guys punch really hard, but now after seeing that fight, a lot of people kind of saying, well, damn, now we kind of really want to see this fight. So what do you think about it, man?
Well, we already in communications about it. He's an option now, and we're gonna see where things go.
Did the communication start? Because I know there was communication beforehand, but did the communication start again, like in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And so it would seem that Wilder versus Ngannou as a conversation, as a fight, talks are ongoing. We knew about these talks before this past weekend's fight. There were preliminary conversations about a Wilder versus Ngannou fight. And at a time when Wilder doesn't seem to be fighting Andy Ruiz, he doesn't seem to be fighting Anthony Joshua either, he can get himself a relatively big bag for fighting Francis Ngannou. He is free. And I imagine that Francis is too. The Saudis can pay for this fight. They can pay for this fight just like they paid for this past weekend's fight. Or the PFL. The people at the PFL can pay for this. I heard some rumors about that some weeks back, that Francis would be doing some kind of business with the people at the PFL moving forward now that he has since parted ways with Dana White's UFC. This fight is viable, because to my knowledge, Wilder may no longer have any ties to the PBC and the people at Showtime. Showtime has left boxing. The PBC don't have a broadcast partner. For the kind of money that Wilder is looking for to get him back in the ring, the PBC may not have anything for him. I mean, for God's sake, they couldn't bring an in-house fight into fruition between him and Andy Ruiz. So I think that if he has to go somewhere else to get a big bag, he's going to. This fight can happen. This fight can happen if Francis Ngannou wants it to happen, because Francis, in spite of losing a quote-unquote decision this past weekend, in the eyes of many, his stock is up. In the eyes of many, he beat Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, who beat Deontay Wilder. And Deontay, he doesn't have any recorded wins over Tyson Fury. They fought 3 times and he didn't win a single one, not a single fight in that trilogy. He may not be able to redeem himself opposite the ring Tyson Fury, but perhaps he can. Perhaps he can redeem himself opposite the ring Francis Ngannou. He, like Tyson Fury, would be going into that fight with the sport of boxing on his back as an ambassador of it, a former champion with several successful title defenses. Maybe he can redeem himself that way behind this weekend's fight, this past weekend's fight. You can sell it. You can sell Ngannou versus Wilder, a very strong puncher from the world of mixed martial arts versus a very strong puncher from the world of boxing, the Bronze Bomber. Don't tell yourself that because Francis Ngannou arguably beat Tyson Fury, that it would be the same with Deontay Wilder. We all know that in this sport, triangle theories don't work. And in order to accurately forecast the outcome of a fight, you've got to look at the two fighters that are actually fighting. Fighting Wilder is a different assignment than fighting Tyson Fury. And if nothing else, Francis Ngannou had the element of surprise going into the Fury fight based on how well he performed. That element is gone. Now the people in boxing know not to underestimate him. Take him seriously. I was honestly impressed with how well Francis Ngannou performed and how well his cardio held up in spite of his musculature, that he has a very muscular physique. His cardio held up better against Tyson Fury than Wilder's did. But can he actually beat Deontay Wilder? Well, like I told you, It's a somewhat different assignment. Tyson Fury really is more the boxer than the puncher, and he's a nervous boxer with a very herky-jerky style. That's not necessarily what you get from Deontay Wilder. Deontay's not going to use the jab as much as Fury would, and he's not going to throw as many punches overall. He's going to hang back and try to set you up for that right hand. Past weekend you saw in the third round of Ngannou versus Fury that Ngannou was able to time Tyson Fury coming in, stepping into his 1-2, and he caught him between the 1 and the 2. He caught him in between the punches. He dropped him. Could he drop Wilder like that? And that depends. That's all contingent upon him actually landing a shot like that. With Deontay Wilder not throwing as many punches in a round as a Fury would or someone else, it's hard to catch him with a counter shot. It's hard. Because he doesn't throw that many punches for you to counter him, and that's not how Tyson Fury beat him. Tyson Fury beat him by bullying him, by stepping into his jab and smothering him on the inside, forcing him onto his back foot and taking his right hand away, tiring him round after round. Tyson Fury did that. So the question is, can Francis Ngannou do the same? Styles, as they say, they do make fights. Whatever it is that Francis Ngannou brought to the table was enough to give Tyson Fury problems. But now we're not talking about you fighting Tyson Fury. We're talking about you fighting Deontay Wilder. And while Fury beat him, and some people think you beat Fury, does that mean you beat Wilder? Can you jab and smother? Can you move your head, keep it off center, be herky-jerky how Fury was herky-jerky while closing the distance? Can you do that? Because if you can't, he'll land that right hand, that big right hand that he spends an entire round, the entirety of the round, looking to land. And I don't know how well or how not well Francis would take it. I saw him take a couple of right hands from Tyson Fury this past weekend, though I myself am not a big believer in Tyson Fury's power. In fact, the only time he looked like a strong puncher, a really strong puncher, was with Wilder. The rest of the time, he boxes. Well, he did knock out Dillian White. But who hasn't? I don't think you have to be the strongest puncher in the world or the strongest puncher in the heavyweight division to knock out Dillian White with an uppercut. He's a sucker for an uppercut. In fact, every time he's been knocked out, it's been with an uppercut. He just doesn't see them. The point is, even though Tyson Fury beat Wilder and he knocked out Dillian White, I'm still not really a big believer in his power. That is, his bully tactics. He was only ever really a bully with Deontay Wilder. The rest of the time, he's a boxer. He's more of a boxer than a puncher. Whereas Wilder's a puncher. Some hyperbole aside, that's what he is. That's what he's known for. He's known for his punching power. Oddly enough, as a puncher, he's never faced one himself. In over 40 professional bouts, he hasn't fought anyone I would characterize as being all that big a puncher. And I know that in the heavyweight division, they're all punchers, sort of. You're always one punch away from being knocked out, but there are some punchers who are bigger punchers than others. No, not all heavyweights are created equal in terms of power. My thoughts. I do think Wilder's a bigger puncher than Tyson Fury. And Francis would have to be mindful of that. He would have to be mindful of Wilder's right, because now you're fighting a puncher, more puncher than boxer. At the same time, Wilder's got to mind Francis Ngannou's power because he's never actually fought a puncher. They can hurt each other. I think they can. They can hurt each other. Francis was able to shake off a few right hands from Tyson Fury. I don't think he'd be able to shake Wilder's off as easily. This fight, if they make it, it's intriguing. You can sell this. But they have to make it first, and we'll see if they can. We'll see if they do. And finally, as it pertains to this past weekend's fight, Usyk's promoter on Fury's performance: arrogance, a lack of discipline, and the thirst for money. That is how Alexander Krassyuk chose to describe it. Arrogance is right. He wasn't fighting a mixed martial artist in his professional debut because he was looking for the most challenging opponent or the most challenging fight. I think that it's safe for all of us to say that Tyson Fury, like many others, underestimated Francis Ngannou. Krassyuk believes Fury had taken Ngannou very lightly by focusing too much on the big payday he received for the bout and not focusing enough on training camp. Everyone, including Usyk, did not give much chance to Ngannou, but the man has shocked the world. Fury underestimated his opponent. Arrogance, a lack of discipline, and the thirst for money led to these kinds of circumstances. But we have December 23 inked, and Fury cannot escape that, Krassyuk told Sky Sports.
They're not fighting on the 23rd, and that's what I was saying before this past weekend's fight. I was saying it before that. Any cuts, bumps, bruises, scrapes, strains, or sprains. And that 23rd fight date is off.
I wasn't convinced that fight was going to happen this year, and that's before this past weekend's fight. After it,
I know it's not happening this year. Tyson Fury's got a black eye and a cut above his forehead. Granted that a cut on the forehead is not the worst place to have a cut in the sport of boxing, but better still, behind that performance, he's not going to fight Usyk in a few weeks' time. He's not going to fight him before this year is out, if he ever fights him.
for a long time, Tyson Fury passed himself off as some kind of fighting man, some kind of Spartan, who doesn't care about money. I can't tell you how many sound bites and how many interviews, how many quotes there are out there in the boxing cosmos where Tyson Fury says he doesn't care about money. Yet the entire motivation for this crossover fight was little more than money.
It's the only reason he did it, which begs the question, if you're motivated by money, why do you have to be so disingenuous about it? Why were you disingenuous about it? What were you trying to prove?
What he was trying to prove, if my memory serves me, is that he's not a businessman. He's a Spartan. He's not a businessman like Anthony Joshua, and yet I don't remember Anthony Joshua taking any breaks from fighting boxers as a champion in the sport of boxing to fight novices, to fight MMA fighters.
I don't recall Anthony Joshua holding up the sport of boxing, holding up the division to fight in circus fights like Tyson Fury just fought in a circus fight. He never did that, but you did. So maybe you're more the businessman than he is.
He just got embarrassed in the process of doing that, and it serves him right. It's no less than he deserves for being one of the most disingenuous characters in the sport, disingenuous fighters the sport has seen in a very long time.
He thought that he was on easy street, he's in the clear, and he thought that this was going to be easy. I look at Francis Ngannou, and what I see is a consummate professional, albeit a consummate professional from a different sport, from a different discipline, whereas Fury is anything but professional.
Sometimes the difference between winning and losing, sometimes the difference between a good night and an off night is professionalism, and Tyson Fury is anything but professional. No, it doesn't all boil down to talent, not all of it. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and you're not gonna tell me that Fury picked Ngannou of all people to fight because he wanted to work hard, because he was looking for a challenge. He didn't expect to be challenged. He didn't take this seriously, but Francis Ngannou did. And that this is the only fight that Tyson Fury will have had this entire calendar year lets me know that his heart really isn't in it. He doesn't really want to compete anymore.
But the story is that the contracts are signed. The fight between him and Usyk is already a done deal. They just have to finalize a date.
And I think Usyk is going to beat him if and when they fight. I think Usyk's going to beat him because Usyk still is a competitor. He's still got that hunger, and Tyson Fury doesn't.